All right, welcome in, everybody. We have a special edition today on The Field with Feirman. I have a special guest. He goes way back, longtime friend of mine. I call him the Golden One, but his name is Craig. Come on in, my man. Bring it
Jay, what's going on, buddy?
Thanks, bro.
Good to see you, man.
I appreciate having a guest in here. I don't have to talk to myself the whole freaking time. It's a beautiful thing. You know, some people think you're kind of weird when you're talking to yourself, but, you know, I just like talking sports, but now I got a good guy to talk sports with. You know, somebody who shares the same obvious expertise as mine in all the fields of NBA, MLB, and the NFL, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to start with the Super Bowl, and your team is in it, so tell them how happy you are.
I'm pretty excited, man.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited. I was one of those people who actually felt the 2007 redo as soon as they lost to Green Bay, and here we are, and it's definitely exciting.
Yeah, it seems pretty similar to the 2007 season, right? In like a lot of ways, pretty much everything.
Everything except for this game. I think this game's a little different than last time. Last time they were going up against the juggernaut, 18-0. Everyone thought they could do it, but you know there were way more skeptics. Now they're almost kind of favored, you know.
They are. I find that weird because everybody keeps talking about the Giants as the hot team coming in, but everybody keeps forgetting that I think New England won. What is it, 10 in a row coming in?
Yeah.
Something like
that?
Yeah,
something like that.
I think it is 10 in a row, as a matter of fact. They lost 3 in a row, then they haven't lost since, so we're going back to, like, I think early November since they actually lost the game. So they haven't lost in a long... So they're hotter, if anything. I know they had kind of a hiccup last week against Baltimore, came down to a missed field goal and whatnot, but look, the Patriots are back, they're in, and you got to think that Tom Brady is really mad right now and really wants revenge really, really bad against the Giants.
I would say so. I would have to agree with that. I mean, the thing is, though, is how many teams over 500 have they beaten all year other than the Ravens? I'm not sure if they've beaten one. So they're 10 in a row. I don't know how much credibility I give to it, but we'll certainly find out. Like the Giants, they were losing a whole bunch of games against good teams, though. They're losing a bunch of games to good teams.
What about Washington? They lost 2 against Washington. One critical game at the end of the year. So
that's the hiccup in all of it, and there's really no explanation for it other than a division rival. But it doesn't. There's no excuse. I mean, the game was gross.
Yeah, it was a pretty gross game.
It was gross.
But there's no doubt the Giants are playing a lot better since then. So we're going to break down the matchup a little bit right now because that's what we do. You know, we like to joke around, but really we're into sports and we want to break down the matchup, the critical point, the key players and whatnot. So here we go. I'm thinking right off the bat, going from the Patriots offensively, I'm going to talk about them, and you can talk about your Giants. We'll kind of go back and forth a bit. The Pats, right now they're using tight ends as their offensive key players. It's a lot different than when they were thrown to, you know, Randy Moss, obviously, back in 2007.
Big difference.
Now, the difference with that is while the Giants have been playing great on defense, one of their, I guess, kind of weaker points would be the secondary, maybe coverage in the secondary a little bit, more with the linebackers so than anything. So when I'm looking at Hernandez and Gronkowski, if he is healthy coming into the game, I think that's a big advantage for the Pats offensively, using the middle of the field as opposed to having to go outside.
I agree, and I would say, fortunately, I do know my Giants, and I would agree that the secondary has their weaknesses, for sure. Fortunately, I think the defensive line covers that up most of the time. That being said, Gronkowski's a beast. Aaron Hernandez is probably the starting tight end on any other team he's on, although he kind of starts there too. It's not the same as 2007. If you had Randy Moss on this team, I think it's a whole other situation. I think the Giants would be a lot more scared going into this game.
I hear you.
Deep threat.
I hear you. I understand the whole scared thing, and I understand how they're coming in a lot more confident this time. And, you know, again, you say that they're almost likely the favorites, even though Vegas has them, I think, a 2-point underdog right now. But that is the key, again, is the Giants' defensive line. If they can neutralize that passing game, meaning, obviously, if they get to Brady, not necessarily having to sack him all the time, but just put enough pressure on him, that'll kill the passing game. But here's the point with the tight ends again. It usually kills the passing game more when you throw into your wideouts, when you need routes to develop down the field. All right? But when you throw in a Gronkowski, when you throw in a Hernandez, it's usually a second or two at the most before the ball comes out. So that's kind of where I think that the defensive line can be neutralized in this game if the Patriots, you know, are thinking in the same way that I'm thinking, obviously, because we know they don't have a running game. They really don't have many wideouts to pass. Of course, they got Wes Welker, which is another threat. So he's got 3 legitimate guys to throw to. But the Giants also got 3 legitimate guys to throw to also.
The Giants have 3 great guys to throw to. I think that's their obvious advantage. That's their advantage versus the tight end advantage of the Patriots. I don't know if there's anyone who can cover Victor Cruz. He seems much like a mismatch the same way Darren Sproles is.
Could you imagine Julian Edelman covering Victor Cruz in the slot in a game like this?
I can't. And that's the part that, for if I was a Patriot fan, I'd be very concerned about.
Sure.
Is how are they going to stop Victor Cruz? I mean, the Niners couldn't stop him, and the Niners have a way better defense than the Patriots.
In the second half, the Niners they adjusted and they did a great job on Victor Cruz in the second half, and they really did actually, for the most part, shut down the Giants' defense in the second half of the game.
The whole second half.
And I'm not comparing the Patriots' defense to the 49ers. They're two completely different leagues, obviously. But, the Giants, they got three legitimate guys. You got Cruz, you got Hicks, and you got Manningham.
Mm-hmm.
Hakeem Nicks, excuse me. Hicks.
Yeah, Hakeem Nicks, yeah.
So, you got three legitimate guys to throw to, and Ballard is always there with a sure hand if you need him. So, but here's a key guy that nobody even talks about is Ahmad Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Ahmad Bradshaw is a phenomenal football player, really underrated. I mean, totally underrated guy. I mean, he can run, he can catch out of the backfield, and if the Patriots don't pay any attention to him on defense, they're going to really suffer, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually this is a game where he's primed to be the guy he probably should have been all year. He's actually had a little bit of rest, so his busted bones in his feet should be a little healthier come a 2-week layoff, and I think he's actually like an X factor in this game. I think he has the ability to kind of take over.
No doubt.
If the Giants can use those three receivers you had mentioned to kind of open it up for them.
Right.
Kind of open up the run with the pass, which is kind of the opposite of old school football.
Yeah, that can certainly happen. There's really no doubt about it that he can be the X factor in the game for all the reasons you said. They'll be concentrating on the pass, so you know what? They can run the ball. And just to kind of wrap the Super Bowl breakdown, the one thing that Belichick does better than anybody is take away your key offensive guy.
Yeah.
Like he took away Ray Rice in the AFC Championship game. Tim Tebow was really the only offensive player in Denver. They shut him down.
Yeah.
They do that better than anybody. But who are you going to shut down on the Giants and have the other guys not hurt you? Meaning you go ahead and you shut down Hakeem Nicks. Victor Cruz is going to burn you. Ahmad Bradshaw is going to burn you. Maybe even Manningham. So you can't do that. So what do you think Belichick does to actually scheme well? You're a Giant fan. You know them offensively.
Sure.
What would be your best idea, without getting into too much detail of a game plan? Who would you try to shut down? Who would you, what would be your scheme? Zone, man?
Well, I actually think you already referenced it. I actually think I would go the offensive route the same way they took Tim Tebow out of the game was by having Brady just go nuts in the first half.
Sure.
And they got so up offensively that they couldn't recover, Denver. They're just not built to recover from that. And I don't know that there's a way to shut down all these guys. There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
Because if you shut down Nicks, Cruz is going to beat you. If you try and shut down Cruz and Nicks, which I don't even think is possible.
No, probably not.
Then Bradshaw's going to get you, and then maybe Manningham will get you. So
too many weapons.
Too many weapons. I don't know that he can discount them. I think his best bet is to hope that his offensive line can hold up and give Brady some time to get the offense going.
So with all that being said, do you think it's going to be a high-scoring game?
That's a great question. I don't think it'll be like in the 30s or 40s, but absolutely in the 20s.
Right? It won't be 17-14 like last time.
It won't be 17-14, but the Giants' defense will show up, and if the game's going the Giants' way, I expected the Patriots to get, 2-3 touchdowns max.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be a blowout either way, but if any team would win by double digits, I think it would be the Giants. Because of their defense.
Because of the defensive line specifically, but
right.
Absolutely because of their defense, and I don't know that... And Brady just didn't look good against the Ravens.
Yeah, he didn't look great. They did a great job
by his own admission, which I give him credit
Sure.
for. But I don't know. I think I think Brady is their only shot to really to hang in that game.
They'll have to light it up.
Yeah, he'll have to light it up. I mean, their defense just isn't good enough.
Either way, I see a 3-point game most likely. Either way, somewhere 24-21. I'll give my official predictions before Super Bowl time.
Yeah.
I'm sure my boy will be able to do the same. But it's funny how when your team doesn't get to the Super Bowl...
I'm not picking the Patriots, by the way.
Well, I'm sure you're not. We'll get a final prediction of a score from this guy.
Sure.
We know who's going to go. We know where his fanhood lies. There's no question about that. I was going to say, speaking of, I'm a 49 fan, and this is going to be one of the toughest Super Bowls for me to ever watch in my life, knowing that we were overtime away from going. It's going to be difficult to watch, but could you imagine being a New York Jets fan watching the Super Bowl? You have your hated rival Patriots in there, and then the team that basically knocked you out of the playoffs, your hometown rival, the New York Giants, for the second time in 4 years. That's horrible.
It reminds me of George Steinbrenner in 1986. His worst nightmare was watching the Mets and the Red Sox.
Oh God!
It's the same sort of thing.
Cool.
Different sports, same sort of thing. But
Sure.
I think if I'm Rex Ryan, I'm burying my head in the sand these days. I mean, I don't know. He talks a lot, and now it's his worst nightmare coming true.
They lost control. He lost control, it seems, of the team. Right when San Antonio Holmes started all this nonsense. And I don't blame it on him, but I do at the same time because he came in obviously with this attitude. We talk, we walk the walk, we talk the talk, we do all that. So the players followed him, but when things crumbled down, and they started losing and they were knocked out of the playoffs, then all that talk went shh, and it became sign language when Bob Scott's giving the finger to to the media and stuff like that. So it works both ways. It's you see the best when things are going well, and you see the worst when things are going bad.
Absolutely, and how I would add to that is if you just use the Giants for a second, the guy Antrell Roll. I mean, he talks a lot, but he really hasn't started talking until they were winning. So at least he had some sort of reason to be talking at that point.
Yeah, common sense.
And Rex just seems to talk recklessly without any. There's no substantial background to it. I mean, 2 years, last year and the year before, that doesn't matter today. And to keep talking all year long while the team's going in the tank and losing big games like the one versus the Giants, I couldn't imagine being a Jet fan. I wouldn't want to be a Jet fan these days.
Yeah. Ryan should concentrate a lot less on talking and more on knowing who's on the field at what time.
Yeah.
Like in that last game against the Dolphins, not knowing that San Antonio Holmes was not even in the game anymore, for what reason he was out.
Right.
I mean, whether or not you're telling the truth or not, that's horrible.
Yeah.
You don't say stuff like that. You keep that in-house and things. So they're a mess right now, and I don't really know what their fix is at the moment. I think they're a good team, but I wrote on my blog months ago that I thought Santonio Holmes should be traded or released or something like that because I don't know if it's going to work out. I don't know if Sanchez and Holmes are two grown men enough to come together and say, let's put it all aside, let's move on next year. We got a great team, we got a great shot, let's do it. I don't know.
And what I don't know? I don't know how how does he get to become a captain in the first place? He's never done anything that warranted leadership ever. Right. And it's evident when he's being pulled off the football field in a crucial moment of your season.
Right.
I think it speaks a lot of his ineptitude. He has a great catch in his career. He's clutch, but he's not a leader.
Mm-hmm. Two things from what I understand about captains in the NFL: you don't name six. That's one. Okay, that's what I understand. And the reason why I think they made him a captain was to try to give him that leadership and take him away from his, childish sort of roles and whatnot, and maybe bring him again more of a leadership role with the Jets and everything. Sure. But it backfired. It didn't work.
It's also like taking someone from the minor leagues and throwing the major leagues, overnight.
Yeah.
He's got to prove something to be worthy of it.
Guys make great clutch catches, though. We'll say, I'm not, as an athlete,
Absolutely.
Santonio Holmes, you're an unbelievable wide receiver. You really are. When you want to play, guy's great. I mean, you go back to the Super Bowl catch and everything, the game winning, and how about last year, all those fourth quarter and overtime wins for the Jets? He was on the receiving end of all of them from Sanchez.
Well, and I'll be full disclosure here, so I don't have any bias. I had Santonio Holmes on my fantasy football team.
Okay, there you go.
But my biggest gripe is they're playing the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken, and they're down 28-0, partly because of his not catching Sanchez's passes and ultimately resulting in interceptions. And he catches the ball and starts doing a dance as the eagle in the end zone. I mean, it's just classless. You're down 28-7 or 6 at that point. I mean, what are you doing?
You know what you're doing? It's showing that you're a selfish player. That's what you're doing. Yeah. It's showing you're just and you only care about me, and that's why you're flying. Well, look at me. I'm flying away from my teammates. Oh wait, get away! Yeah. Let me fly by myself and soar because I'm the man.
Right.
He doesn't celebrate with the guys. He just doesn't seem like one of those team players. I don't want to talk about Santonio Holmes. We're going to get off the topic right now. But look, the team comes first.
We love you, Santonio.
Yeah, we really love you. We're both Jet fans. Die hard. But, great athlete. You get it together, grow up mentally. You guys will be great. I don't want to really spend too much time on Peyton Luck, but I wanted to get your opinion. Mine, again, I've told everybody who's listening. I told you guys already that, I think that it's obvious that Peyton Manning should move on at this point. In a perfect world, I would keep them both on, but financially it doesn't make any sense. I would love for Andrew Luck to learn from Peyton Manning, much like Rodgers with Favre, Steve Young with Joe Montana. It's proven to work, but nowadays you don't draft the number one guy. and have him sit on the bench for a couple years.
No.
So Peyton's out, right?
Peyton has to be out, and I'm pro Peyton. I think the way the situation has been handled has been terrible.
Yeah.
I think Irsay leaves a lot to be desired.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Luck cannot sit. I mean, look at the guys who have started. No disrespect to Andy Dalton, who I think is awesome. I think he's good.
Yeah.
But Andrew Luck has all the hype that has ever been. So how are you going to draft him and then sit him for 2-3 years? It's not feasible.
You can't do it.
Peyton's got to go. If he's healthy enough to play, he's going to want to play, and he should play.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best guys out there.
He is.
You just got to find a place where he can make an impact with another 3.
It'll obviously have to be a team that's ready to go and win right away.
Absolutely.
It's not like he's going to go into some rebuilding project somewhere and start all over again. He's got 3 years left, probably tops. So I don't know what team is out there that would A, take him in a situation like that, and B, he would fit with. I'm going through in my head and everything. Obviously, San Francisco does work because he's an upgrade over Alex Smith. I don't think that he should go to the Jets because I think Sanchez could actually be a decent quarterback if he's coached up right. But
if he goes to the Jets, who's he throwing to?
Santonio Holmes, right? Hey, Santonio, you got yourself a quarterback you don't have to argue with.
I don't see the weapons there. The 2 places that seem most likely to me would be, although San Francisco would be great, they also don't have the weapons. They need weapons.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And Alex Smith, I'm not sure that they're throwing a talent by any stretch. I think it's actually the opposite. I'd say maybe Arizona potentially, maybe Miami. Those are teams, more so Arizona. Arizona still has a pretty
good core. I like that.
Kind of have a good core. They're definitely lacking a quarterback. Could be Kurt Warner-esque.
I kind of like that. That's an interesting one. You know why? Obviously, weak division for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, weak, mediocre, okay? But you bring in a Peyton Manning, it's a different story. I mean, they just got Kevin Kolb. This is all hypothetical speaking, but if they could work it out financially, they would do it, I'm sure. But they got a good D. It's nothing great, but they certainly got weapons on offense. They got a good running game, which he really never had. You got Larry Fitzgerald.
You got one of the best receivers in the game, and I think he would pick up immediately with Larry Fitzgerald. I think that would be a match made in heaven.
That's not a bad call.
They have 3 or 4 good running backs. I mean, they're loaded at running back. They probably need another receiver or 2 because they've divvied him up the last couple of years. Preston to Kansas City and Bolden to Baltimore. But
Early Doucette's been coming on.
Early Doucette, that's a good call.
He's played pretty well.
Absolutely.
Nothing Pro Bowl level, which is another story we'll get into.
But they have a draft coming up, which I don't know what exactly pick they have. I think somewhere in the middle of the first round. I mean, they could probably pick up a weapon or 2 in the draft and bring in Peyton and have him for 3 or 4 years. And
that's a very interesting one. That's a very it's yet to be seen, but that's a good call out of the golden one right there. That's not bad. Personally, I hope that doesn't happen because then Niners are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So I really don't want that.
That's a good point, too.
I mentioned the Pro Bowl real quick. I don't know how many of you are going to watch it. I'm probably not. I may watch the introductions and everything like that. But wouldn't you guys rather see a skills competition? Just helmets off, let the guys put on the jerseys without the pads, have a long yardage competition, have an accuracy competition, with the quarterbacks and the moving targets and everything. I'm into that.
Kind of like that quarterback challenge they used to do with the moving targets.
Yeah, they used to do it all the time. But do that instead of the game. I understand, all right, you have the game in Halloween. It's great because people in Hawaii never get to watch a game unless they wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, So they don't really get to watch football that much. So it's a nice treat for them. But at the same time, players don't really want to have to go to practice after the season is over. It's not like they have these practice. You don't want to practice? You think they want to go to practice?
Not in Hawaii. They definitely don't want to go to practice.
Why would they want to go to practice when the season's over already?
I will say this though: I would be more inclined to watch the game if they just played normal rules instead of the absurd rules. I mean, it's almost not football at this point, which is why no one wants to watch it.
That's
if they would just actually agree to play an actual game where hitting was live and it is live, but you know what I mean.
No, you can't blitz in the game. You can't have more than 4 linemen and stuff like that. So it's basically like a zone defense. You're pretty much playing it.
It's like a skeleton. It's like a skeleton game. It's
flag football without the flags.
You might as well take the pads off at that point. If you're gonna, it might actually be more enjoyable to watch it as a fan now, given the rules, without pads.
Well, the whole reason they don't have flag football in the Pro Bowl anymore.
No.
Robert Edwards. You remember that rookie from the Patriots? He tore his leg up.
Tore his leg in the was
playing in the sand.
In the sand. Yeah, in the sand. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That is the worst. Obviously, they never played.
But they don't play the Pro Bowl in sand.
No, obviously
they could.
Right.
They could.
Yeah, they might just. Well, they got to do something else at this point because it's unbearable to watch. And you're talking about a diehard football fan here who will watch 2 and 12 teams playing the Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely.
I don't care who's playing. as long as the game is competitive and I know that they're trying to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So stop with this Pro Bowl thing, in my opinion. Get all the best guys out there, have a little skills competition, take the helmets off, let the fans get to know who they are, because fans of their favorite teams only maybe know 3 or 4 of them identifiable without their helmets off. I mean, it's hard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
not like baseball or NBA where they're naked pretty much. You know, you can see all their tattoos and everything. You know their entire family's history because it's written on their bodies and stuff like
Right,
that.
and I think you made a good point too. Is the biggest issue is it's after the season, so a lot of the guys, for some of them, have been off for weeks at this point.
Right.
You know, especially the bigger guys, they're probably out of shape already.
Yeah, they're done. Right. They've already gained 30 pounds. They're eating their knees, right?
Maybe run a little 5-on-5. You know, you get your Cam Newton and your receivers and line them up and run down the field. I mean, otherwise, the competition, the skills competition, might be a good idea. Maybe it's something they got to look towards.
I'm saying, like I said, you're talking about 2 diehard football fans who will watch any game in the world, but the Pro Bowl with the best players in the world we won't watch. Do you see the irony in that, everybody? You know, the best players in the world we won't watch. Why? Because there's no competition.
Right.
So, look, we'll wrap up the NFL talk right now. We're going to come back with segment 2 in about 5 minutes, so stay tuned. We'll see you in a few.